You know, I've known a lot of financial advisors over the years. I've been doing this since 1981 as a retail financial advisor to individuals and families, helping them coordinate all of their financial affairs. There are financial advisors who are highly successful, and there are financial advisors that can't seem to get the success that they were wanting to achieve. And I think a lot about what's the difference between the two of them. It really boils down to one thing: action. So I'm going to talk and do a series of videos on mindset. And we're going to talk about what the difference is between the advisors that seem to be able to put all this together and succeed versus the advisors that seem to be on the hamster wheel and they learn a lot, but they never implement. So I'm going to start off by making 3 points that I think are really critical if your goal is to succeed. So if I were to describe the difference between financial advisors that actually execute and achieve their objectives versus ones that are frustrated and they're not achieving their goals, it is that financial advisors who succeed decide early on that they're going to figure things out in real time. They don't have to spend a lot of time getting ready to get ready. They don't have to spend a lot of time learning and trying to understand the entire process before they get started. They just jump in there and take the attitude, look, this is all about action. This is all about massive action. That if I want to succeed and I want to get to where I want to go, the only way I'm going to do that is to figure out what are the activities that I should be doing right now that will get me to the goal. So advisors who succeed are all about action. So the question is, what are the actions? So before I talk about what the actions should be, let's talk for a minute about why advisors don't take action. You know, when you set a goal, you set this objective that's off in the distance, and you have this beautiful image of what you want to achieve. And the problem is, it seems so far away. And whoever said that you should fake it before you make it, I wish we could go back in time and just completely gag them and never have that saying, because that is not the way to do this. You do not get to your objectives by faking it until you make it. So what do? You have to figure out how the system works. And you have to fall in love with the actions that you need to be doing now. You don't live like you've achieved your goal and, pretend that you've achieved it so that others, you create some image for others. No, you figure out, what do I need to be doing now to get me there? And then you fall in love with the process. So it's all about taking action now, this week. What do I need to be doing in the next hour? What do I need to be doing tomorrow? What do I need to be doing next week that's different from what I've been doing that will get me to my objective someday? So we're going to talk about that, but the advisors who don't succeed are the ones who want to learn the process first. It's called getting ready to get ready. And so my business coach back in the day, when I was in the same position that you are, where I'm trying to figure out how do I get from where I am now to my goal? Well, it was, if you're in the financial services industry, you probably know Bill Bachrach. He was my business coach, and we're talking about 25 years ago. And he said, look, Mark, you don't do the activities that you will be doing once you succeed. No, you do the activities you need to do now to get you there, and they're different. And it's going to be doing things that are uncomfortable, and you've got to figure out how to get over that discomfort so that every week you're moving closer to your goals. And when I say you've got to fall in love with the process, that's what I'm talking about. So number one, I'm just saying, get used to the fact that for the next year or two, maybe 3, it took me 34 months. You're going to have to be doing different activities now. The process is different than you will once you achieve your goal. Once you achieve your goal, you're on easy street. You can kick back and you can live the rest of your life however you want. The question is, do you have the work ethic to get you from where you are now to that goal? Now, I create a lot of videos on our process, but that's because I know financial advisors better than they know themselves, because I am one. And I know that there is this instinct that I have to understand the process before I implement. And nothing could be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, I do videos on client acquisition, client service, and client conversion. Those are the 3 skills that you really need to master. But this is a 4th area. This is mindset. Now, if you were to ask me, if you were standing here right now and say, Mark, which videos should I pay most attention to? I'd say, it's all mindset. The difference between the advisors who succeed and the advisors who don't are all just simply a difference in mindset. And can you get focused on massive action that's going to be required over the next couple of years? 2 to 3 years is what I always tell advisors. But if you'll do the work for the next 2 or 3 years that other advisors are unwilling to do, you know, the unpleasant system, the process that it's going to take to get you to your goals, well then 2 to 3 years from now, you'll never have to work like that again. So number 1, fall in love with the process. Figure out what you need to be doing day to day and do it. Okay, number 2. The second piece of advice that I have has to do with releasing yourself from perfectionism. If you stop and think about it, why do you think you need to understand everything before you do anything? Like where does that instinct come from? Where I need to see all the videos about step by step, what's the entire process, and I need to build my team, and I need to get all this in place, and once I understand it fully, well, then I'll implement. That's not the way advisors who succeed actually do it. So what do? You have to release yourself from the perfectionism. That's perfectionism, thinking you have to know everything before you take step 1. No. The advisors who succeed, and I would go so far as to say the entrepreneurs who succeed, master the art of figuring it out as you go along. That, you know, if you think about any business, and ours for sure in the financial services industry, it's all about encountering the next problem. So what is the next problem? My next problem is, I don't know where my next client's going to come from. So what do? Okay, so you got to fill your calendar with people who are not your client. So you got to get out of the office and do the uncomfortable work that is required to get in front of people who are not currently your client. So that's the next problem. Do I have enough people that are not my clients that I could just be rubbing elbows with them full time? Because that's the next step for you. So you release yourself from the instinct that I've got to be perfect. That's perfectionism. You don't have to understand the process. You just have to have faith that the process works and then focus on the very next step. The very next step is, if you're going to get a client, you need to get out of the office and start meeting non-clients. You got to start rubbing elbows with people who could be clients. So that's number 2. Release yourself from the perfectionism of feeling like you have to get ready to understand everything before you can do anything. No, you need to start getting out. The advisors who succeed say to themselves, no, I got to get out there and just start rubbing elbows with non-clients, people who are potential clients themselves, or everyone's a referral source. If they themselves are not a potential client, well, they know someone who is. Okay? So, number 2, release perfectionism, just start taking massive action. Number 3, the thing that I did, because I'm an introvert, and you think to yourself, what kind of person actually succeeds? And you think, oh, it's going to be this extrovert that knows everything. And they just get out there and it's easy for them. The extrovert gets out there and starts rubbing elbows with leaders in the community, and all of a sudden they begin acquiring clients because it's natural to them. No. The people who succeed in this business are the people who take massive action on the next step, and they recognize that they're just going to figure it out as they go along, but leaning into their strengths. Okay, so what's the strength of an introvert? If you're an extrovert, you have no idea. But if you're an introvert, you know what I'm talking about. Introverts, mistakenly, people think introverts don't like people. That's not true. The thing about introverts is we love people. We just love the people that we know. I'm very comfortable hanging out with my friends and just chatting with them and hanging out and just catching up with old friends. I love being with people that I know. I'm a little uncomfortable with people that I don't know in that I just don't like idle chit chat. If I'm sitting on an airplane next to someone and they're wanting to strike up a conversation, as an introvert, my instinct is I would rather just read my book, okay? And so I give out signals that politely imply that I'd rather be with myself. But if I'm in client acquisition mode, I'll talk to them. So can introverts get out there and rub elbows with strangers? Yes. As a matter of fact, my business coach, Bill Backrack, says, Mark, you're really good at that. Well, okay, I may be, but it wears me out. I don't enjoy it. So my advice on the third step is figure out what your strengths are. And just know that the next step is you've got to take massive action to rub elbows with non-clients. And in my case, I'm an introvert, and I only like hanging out with people that I know. Okay? So what's the skill that I leaned into? I recognize my strengths. I'm willing to spend time with non-clients who I know. So what do I do as an introvert? I figured it out. I developed the skill. I master the skill of getting the people I know to introduce me to the people that I don't know. Now I know them. So if a friend introduces me to an interesting person that is a friend of theirs, I'll have my friend describe them for me. And if I think they sound interesting, I'll say what? They sound great. I'd love to meet them. So have you mastered the skill of getting the people that you know to introduce you to the people that you don't know? Because if you'll master that skill, well, you've got a continuous stream of your pipeline. Like you'll be adding new names to your pipeline continuously. You'll never run out of leads if you master that one skill. But I'm not saying that you're an introvert and you have to do it my way. I'm saying lean into your strength. If you're an extrovert, it's probably easier for you to interact with non-clients and to just get to know them and, make the relationship develop over time and, get to know them as a friend. But for me, I had to get people I know to introduce me to people that I don't know. Then I would sit down with them as a new friend and start to get to know them. And in that process, I went from the worst performing financial advisor at my firm, they were threatening to fire me every single week that for lack of production. I figured out a way, focusing on my strengths, to go from the worst performing financial advisor nationwide at this nationwide company to the #1 top producer. How did I do that? Because I recognized my strength. My strength is I love interacting with people that I know. So what is the next thing I need to do? I need to take massive action to get my network to introduce me to people. Do I tell them I'm looking for clients? No, of course not. I tell my friends I love having interesting conversations with interesting people, and they'll introduce me. And when I find a new person that I'm introduced to by a friend, I take it from there. I'll develop a relationship. Either the relationship develops or it doesn't. But the question is, how many people did you interact with in the last 7 days who are non-clients? Matter of fact, that's the key metric I'm going to leave you with in this video. What should I be tracking if I'm going to do a transformational change from the way I've always done things? I'm not going to sit down and watch YouTube videos until I think I understand the whole system. No, that's information. What you're going to need to succeed, in my opinion, the thing that matters is transformation. Are you going to move out of information mode into transformation mode, which means I know the only way I'm going to succeed is to take action. It's all about action and massive action. The more massive your action in the next week, in every week, to accomplish the very next thing you need to do, the faster your success will come and the bigger the success will be. Okay, so let's wrap up by just recapping what we've talked about. Number one, you're not going to think you have to know the whole process before you get started. No, you're going to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to figure it out in real time. This is what successful people do. They just say, I'm going to start taking action and I will figure it out, because the action's more important than anything. Number two, you're going to release yourself from perfectionism. You don't have to perfect the process. You just jump in there and start doing it and start course correcting as you go. Again, because the action matters more directionally than understanding the process. So the idea of course correcting in real time is really the key to this. So release yourself from the thought that you need to be a perfectionist. And then finally, number three, recognize your strengths. Figure out what you're really good at doing, and you know what you need to do. You need to start massively meeting non-clients every week. So if the metric that you focus on is how many non-clients did I spend at least 10 minutes with over the last 7 days, well, now you know what you need to do. And depending on your personality, you lean into your strengths to do that. So in my case, I'm an introvert. I didn't let that be an obstacle. I figured, well, as an introvert, I love people, but I only like to hang out with people that I know. So get to know more people. Become an expert at getting people you know to introduce you to the people you don't know. And that's it. If I were to give you one piece of advice on all these videos that I'm putting up that give you an insight into the process that will attract ideal clients, don't focus on the process. Don't focus on the client acquisition, the client service, and the client conversion training and videos. Focus on the mindset videos. Because if you're going to succeed 24, 36 months from now, it took me 34 months to go from 0 to 340,000, and then from 340,000 a year in production to 1.6 million, from 1.6 million up to 3.2 million. So if you want to do some hops that are truly transformational, game-changing to your life, you'll focus on the mindset. So I'll leave it at that. If after watching this video you think you'd like to take the step forward, I'll put a link below to either the program or the mindset. So if you think I understand what you're saying, Mark, but I still have to understand more about the system before I take any steps forward, fine. You can join our program. I'll put a link below. You can join our program and start going through training videos and learning the information that's going to be required to implement. Or if you think you're ready to move forward and you think, okay, Mark, I'll take your advice. I will start taking massive action, but I need some support. Then I'll put a link below to what I'm calling our breakthrough strategy session. You'll book a session with somebody on my team, and we will talk to you and see if you fit the profile of the advisor that really can take massive action and succeed at all this. And if so, we'll invite you into our program at that higher level. But it's not about what level you join. It's about you making the mindset that I'm going to take massive action, not tomorrow, starting right now after this video. What are you going to do to start rubbing elbows with new potential clients?